Alright, today I got a PS2 controller that freaks out every time you plug it into the console. This is pretty common with the model. If you flip it over, if you can see, there's a little H right here, and that H means something. I don't remember what it is, but it's very common with the H models that you need to replace the ribbon cable connector in the controller. The A model is made differently. I'll show you what this one looks like inside. But the H model has got problems. So first thing you got to do is take these screws out. So embarrassingly enough, my electric screwdriver died, so I'm going to have to go about this the old-fashioned way with a regular old hand crank screwdriver. So that's embarrassing. Okay, there we have the inside. This is a surprisingly clean controller. The inside looks super clean. This is the part that's the issue. I don't know what happens. The ribbon cable gets oxidized or something, but it doesn't know where it's coming from. This cable is soldered directly to the board, so it's not like you can just swap the ribbon out. You have to desolder this thing. So we're gonna take this whole controller board out. One screw here.
Same size as the others? All the screws are the same size. Okay. So this comes out. These come out. The rumbles. The wire comes out. Okay, and they actually attached the ribbon cable through the shell. So the only way to get this plastic piece off is to cut the ribbon cable. This can go in the trash. Take those out. This goes out. Trash can. Plastic.
All right. So I am going to use a helping hand. I'm gonna add flux to help with the desoldering process. Okay. I'm going to add leaded solder to hopefully assist in the heating up process. This melts at a lower temperature, so it doesn't have to get as hot. So now I got the hot air station. Just gonna heat this up for a little bit from afar, just to get the board ready. Just do that for a couple minutes. Or less. This will be my test spot to see if the solder is melted. I'm going to slowly get closer. starting to get soft. I think the plastic's melting over here. So that's not good. That's melted. Okay. Plastic melted pretty good. Would not recommend. Still smoking. And my tweezer is stuck to it. But the most important thing is that this is off and none of the pads ripped down here. Now I'm going to remove the giant glob of solder. Because we don't need that. This is solder wick. It should absorb all the excess solder from that giant glob. Now we do want to make sure that all these pins have solder on them, so I'm just going to make sure. I'm going to go down each one and make sure each one has solder on it, so that when we put the new connector on, it can make a connection. These couple where I just took this giant blob of solder on look like they could use a little bit more. Got a Q-tip with some isopropyl alcohol. Now I could heat this up with a hot air gun again, but seeing as the way the first one melted, I'm just going to use the soldering iron. These pin connectors, you can get them, I believe there's 18 or 19 pin options, and both will work. You just have to make sure that if you get the 18, you leave this far one on the left open. Line it up. I'm gonna try and do this far one here as an anchor point of sorts. Add a little bit of solder to the iron. Lined up. And now I'm just gonna heat up each one. Now we need the multimeter. And we're gonna test the connection. It feels like it's on there pretty solid, but you gotta make sure that each one is connected. So the multimeter tests continuity from point A to point B, so we can make sure that each leg of the connector matches the leg on the chip. So I have my multimeter set to continuity. If you hear a beep, that means it's good. We'll start with this one. This one goes down. First, you want to make sure that none of these legs are bridged. Doesn't look like any of them are. All right, so this one, you follow the trace. Should connect there. Next. So after a lot of trial and error and maybe just a lack of understanding how this thing works, I've only done this once or twice, I believe all the pins are connected. So I'm just going to clean up the flux and put it back together and test it out. So the nice thing about this repair is how before you could not take the ribbon cable out if there was an issue. Now you can. Now it just slides right in. Ribbon cable needs to go like this. Okay, this might be painful to watch. Maybe we need to trim some of this excess. I think there's some excess around the buttons that you kind of have to trim away so it'll fit. I get a pair of scissors. It seems like it wants to fit in there from this notch up, it's just a little wide. So I'm gonna give it a little trim, just the tiniest. Put these back on. Rumble sticks in. Try and situate this board in here. Board feels like it's in, although we forgot to put the wire. Wire's got to tuck. Wires tucked. Board is in.
Okay.
Okay, now the ribbon cable can get plugged into the board.
Okay, I think that's it.
Okay, now I can put the back on. Okay, now what you can do with these buttons is just slide them through and push. So you don't have to worry about them during reassembly. 1, 2. Three, and somewhere in the mess we have 4. Okay. Buttons feel good. Last thing to do is to test it out. Okay, to help us out, we have the tried and true Madden 09. I'm gonna plug this controller into the console. Check. It lights up, which is a good sign. Let's see, press the start button. That works. Down works, up works. X works. Right works, left works. R2 works. X works. Triangles works. Square works.
Everyone needs to execute out there.
Circle works. That's just about all of them. L2 works. L3 works. I think that's all of them. Select. Call a timeout. I think that's it. I think we got it. We saved an H controller, and we had a successful repair. Thanks for watching.